This humble man from the village of Longsheng in Nagaland answered his early calling, and out of all circumstances was used of God in regional, national, and international ministries, ending up finally as a channel of blessing on the Lord's mission in East India.
To reach the unreached. Just one time covered doesn't work. We have to repeat or take this gospel to the people who harden their heart. It is again time for us with all these facilities to reach people sincerely, to reach the unreached. In those days, we live in the villages, not town. No light, no water supply, nothing of that sort.
It was a childhood experience with fear that led Imotemjen to dedicate himself to the Lord's work and mission, developing a deep faith and dependence on his Lord.
While I was in class 5 at the village, I was the youngest of the class, and the leaders, our friends, 3-4 years older than myself. Longjang, my village also had a very strong Christian Endeavor society. Men, by the adult people, adult unmarried, we had also a hostel, the dorm for the student. One is the student group, and the other one is the village lay people who do not go to school, but they live there. At one stage, there was a conflict between the leadership. Our hostel leadership decided that they would not participate in any program of the Christian Endeavor Union, CE, run by those people. And so one Sunday afternoon time, they worked out the program and they put me as chairman to conduct the whole program. And so our hostel leaders said, no, you cannot conduct the service. You say, no, I cannot do it. The whole week I was really struggling in my heart and also praying whether I should really take that program and conduct the meeting. If I do, I'll be punished. If I don't do, then God will punish. That's it, in another way, in my understanding. And we're all there, and different rows sitting there. And the leaders are always whispering to me, behind me, don't go there, don't go there, you will not go. If you go there and conduct it, you will be punished tonight. I just pray, Lord, give me a clear decision now at this moment. That was my prayer. So at last, when the second bill started, I decided I must go. I would fear the Lord. With whatever punishment come, then the man, I'll go and conduct. So I went up. While I was there in the pulpit and then conducting the meeting, still I get a number of notes from our leaders of the hostel saying that you have decided to conduct, you are going to be punished tonight. Okay, whatever punishment comes, I have to take it. Because it is my understanding, I must not rebel against God. Lastly, they decided that I would be taken to Arditungman, you call it, a big tree. As a tree, we believe in the whole village possesses devils in the village. There are many stories of the past that at night the Satan passes through back and forth, and all the religious sacrifices of the hidden things are all there. The cows and then chicken, dogs, pigs, all the sacrifices by the non-Christian to the evil spirit. And so they said, I'll be there for 1 hour, 1 complete hour. And this is winter, December, very cold. And those days we don't have the warm clothing. Hardly one happened because I begin to wear only from class 4. For hostel and other public gathering, they have those several bamboo cylinder where they put water. And the water is also become spoiled, red, smelling very much. And there are also flies in that. And they took my shirt. They took my pen, and then they put the water on me, poured the water on me, very smelly water, from the head to the bottom, all the 3 or 4 water. And I became very smelly and also vomiting. And then they took me to the Aritungan, that's banyan tree. 3 of them took me there, and they left me there. You will be here for 1 hour. You don't move, not come back. We'll not let you come back. Stay there. We'll come and then call you. And I was young, undergoing the punishment under the tree, the devil's tree. And I was so scared. All the stories these people told before I was taken over came to my mind, my heart. And I couldn't open my eyes. I was sitting there shivering, and then closed my eyes, and then I was really praying. Not only the shivering, but also the big flies, and also the malaria thing. All this are beating in my body. I really feel so scared and so afraid that I just bow down and pray, Lord, if you save me tonight, the whole life I'll give you until I die. I'll not change. That was my promise before God in my prayer.
After passing out his 10th standard matriculation in 1953, Imotemjen went down to the plains of Assam to pursue the 4-year graduate in theology, GTH diploma at the then Jorhat Bible College, presently the Eastern Theological College, under the sponsorship of the Ao Baptist Church Association.
My friend is Jorhat were Rev Aier, and then Rev late Legokpa, Mr. Legok Oma, and then the late Rev Listen. 4 of us were there together.
Later, after completion of his GTH, desiring higher theological studies, Imotemjen went to the Sirampur Theological College near Kolkata, which had an accepted Bachelor of Divinity degree course recognized by the Government of India.
And in Sirampur, I had 2 Karos, Pensionat Mumin, and the second one is Lorondro Sangma, the one who succeeded me as General Secretary of that. Another one from Manipur, Mashangte.
Imotemjen completed his BD in 1961.
Returning home to Nagaland in May 1961, Imotemjen joined as a teacher in the Clark Mission High School at Impur, teaching both in high school and the Bible school. After a year in December 1962, Imotemjen was appointed by the Executive Committee of the Ao Baptist in Nagaland, ABAM, to be the General Evangelist for the Ao churches.
3 appointments, actually. The third responsibility was Reverend Kijung was to go to USA on a meditation for deputation work. And so I was also given that position, active field supervisor of Ao Mungtang.
In 1964, Imotemjen was awarded an Ecumenical Overseas Studies Scholarship by the World Council of Churches,
which trained employed people for further exposure to develop their ministry. Now, in order to qualify myself for that scholarship, I have to get married.
He was one of the leaders of that time. He was a very good speaker, very humble. The character he seems a very gentle, God-fearing man. 1963, December 19. Next year, in 64, my husband, he left for USA for further study.
He spent an academic year at the Colgate Rochester Divinity School, New York, during 1964 to 65.
It was good and strong churches in USA. That time, the churches are strong, conventions were strong, they had enough workers, enough money. I went to USA as the ABAM staff. They continue my basic pay without allowance during my absence to my wife from USA. I came just straight to Yambur, to the same position as evangelist. and also devoted the church promotional secretary.
Back home in Impur, Imotemjen and his young family had a narrow escape in their mission bungalow.
It was during winter, very cool winter. One night, it was December, it was too cold that we burned charcoal and closed all the doors and windows, airtight. We were all sleeping. But in the middle of the night, something happened. Atula, the child, the only child, was also crying. And when I get up, then I fell down from the bed, then I couldn't get up. And then my wife, the only one who was healthy of the three, she was shouting and then opening one door and then call our chukidar. And he immediately ran to the hospital and then brought the Dr. Ngakshi. And then he discovered that the whole house is almost like burning with the heat, all charcoal heat. And then he came and then immediately he opened all the doors and windows. It was just suffocating with that one. Otherwise, had he been late for a few more minutes, would have gone our life.
It was a miracle, God's hand delivering and preserving Imotemjen and his family for a larger future ministry to the whole of Eastern India.
I was also appointed president of the CBCNA after my return from the study, and then took my work at ABAM. Reverend Gijong and myself kept moving all the time to all the other meetings outside of the AO area and CBCNA area. So somehow these people elected me as president of the CBCNA. It was Singha, the first national general secretary of the CBCNA, expressed that he would like to resign. And so during that time, they decided to look for a successor. And somehow in the executive committee, they decided that they would ask Rev Aier to be his successor. I say no, I can't be here because it is Ao Mung Thang who supported me. But he said he wanted it. You talk to Ao Mung Thang, executive committee. Let him decide for me, not me to decide here. So he appointed a special committee. The convener, Reverend Singha, Reverend Nore, Reverend Gijong, from the executive, and then the one from Karo Hills, one from Manipur, all those representative, and they came to Ao Mung Thang executive committee. CBCNI so insisted that I should be there at Guwahati. They were all convinced, executive committee of the APAM and this group, that I should go.
That time, because transportation is very difficult, it took 2 days. So from Johat Mission Hospital, from there, the hospital chief, they come to fetch us and then taking everything.
Taking my position for about 1.5 years as Associate General Secretary. And the treasurer was the missionary representative there from USA, Neil Jones, or Ceci Jones. And associate treasurer by the name Reverend L. Pizzo. The first year as Associate General Secretary, I made a tour the entire CBCNA area of all the 5 states under CBCNA, all the convention and district headquarters, to educate myself and the total life and ministry of the conventions within CBCNA. Another one was Karbi Anglong. It was related to the Assam Baptist Convention because it is in the plain. But during my time, in 2 years of time, we got them separated and formed their own convention, Karbi Baptist Convention. Before it was Mitir Hills Association.
After serving 1.5 years as Associate General Secretary of the Council of Baptist Churches of Northeast India, he became the General Secretary of the Council in 1969. He was ordained on March 8, 1970, at the Guwahati Baptist Church, Assam.
After I took over the General Secretary as such, the intensity of evangelism work in Arunachal Pradesh started. That was around 1970-71, appointing General Secretary of the Arunachal Baptist Association. We call them association. Because during that time, Arunachal was not a state, it was just a part of Assam. And so we make them that association related to Assam Baptist Convention. But somehow or other, the leadership of the Arunachal Baptist Christians grew very fast under some energetic young people with the support of the CBCNA. Earlier, it was the Baptist, the association supported by the Mizo Baptist Convention. It was a Mizo Baptist field. But later on, the indigenous Arunachal people founded by American Baptists with the help of CBCNA, they become bigger and stronger, and so they got amalgamated in a few years' time and growing bigger. Because other associations like Imotemjen and then also Garos are also helping in the evangelization of the Arunachal, like the Lohit district. And so that is one of the extension of the CBCNA, eating more convention and more association district-wide. That is number one. The number two is also Amri Baptist Association, Meghalaya in Assam area. Earlier, former Mikris living in Golaghat area and then Tukmukwa area of this Assam Valley there. They have a separate convention still today growing with their headquarters at Tifu. Amri Karpi Baptist Association is founded by the Kutula mission of the Marangong Baptist Church. And to that, CBCNA supported their program. They send their missionary, but the other program like schools and then the other social program was conducted and supported by CBCNA. And still today, they have a high school, a good high school, that was founded and supported by CBCNA with the collaboration of the Kutula Baptist Mission.
Reverend Imotemjen Aier served as the General Secretary of the CBC-NAI from 1968 to 1988. During these years, there happened a series of transformation and revival in Northeast India, which also resulted in many new churches being established under the banner of CBC-NAI.
During his 21 years of faithful service at the CBC-NAI, Reverend Imotemjen was also appointed as the Vice President from India at the Baptist World Alliance. This further indicated how the Western world began to recognize the importance of CBC-NAI at the Christian world level and the Baptist International Ministry. During Reverend Aier's tenure at the CBC-NAI, two major international events were celebrated. The centennial celebration of ABAM, All Baptist Churches Association in Poor in 1972, where more than 40,000 delegates converged together to celebrate the 100 years of Christianity for the Al Nagas and Nagaland, during which Reverend Imotemjen was also the president of the centennial celebration. The second big event was the successful celebration of CBC-NAI sesquicentennial in Dimapur, Nagaland.
The celebration of the coming of the missionary to Assam in the year 1836. There were about 50,000 delegates from various CBCNA churches. It was a great crowd, big time of celebration with all the Baptist churches, almost all the Baptist churches under CBCNA, which is about, by this time, 5,000 to 6,000 churches, local churches, gathered in Dimapur American Baptist missionaries working in India, and the former missionaries worked in the CBCNA. And not only our missionaries, but also the representative of the Baptist Rural Alliance. And then also from non-Baptist denominational group from India, representatives were called and then invited. It was a 4-day celebration of more than 50,000 delegates those days.
One is the CBCNEI. Imo laid a strong foundation of the structure and the operational culture of the council. I started serving with the General Secretary, who is his successor. And I already see and experience the stability and the foundation Imo has established. And since then, I can experience a very capable leadership of the CBCNEI leaders, huge groups of wonderful leaders in Northeast India, a operational style that are well established and they can fall back to when they face any challenging issue.
So after the celebration, I requested the executive committee of the council to release from my the responsibility and look for a successor.
After retirement from CBC-NEI, his family was invited again by the Board of International Ministry, BIM, to serve as missionary to the United States of America.
In the USA, visiting and encouraging the American Baptist churches for their greater involvement in the global mission, the world, taking the example of the good work in Northeast India. Because we were in darkness, our forefathers, it is the American Baptist Free Mission Society which brought the light to us in Nagaland, in Northeast India, and in India, through the effort, sacrificial life of the missionaries of the past. And so, if the really what does is the seeds of the labor of the past, to tell them that we are here as the outcome of your ministry, and it is again the American Baptist churches, we should continually renew their effort to do wider missionary endeavor around the world, even more than which they have now.
As missionary for a couple of years in the USA, Rev Aier and his wife traveled and preached across the country with the call of missions for Christ.
All over USA, except the Texas and then Kentucky, driving wherever is possible, wherever not possible, from state to state by plane.
These American people, they are so friendly. Within a short time, they make friendship, they adjust with us, and then working with us like we only. They provide a car, and then uncle was driving that one, I was reading that map. So almost every day we are on the route. Sometimes we made an accident also, but God was so good that He saved us from crashing, sending to many churches almost every day, meeting so many people that way.
And then presenting to them, to the churches, that we are the seeds of your labor. So, it is time again to do more than what you have been doing in the past, because the world still needs the gospel for millions of people around the world. And for that, you have to strengthen yourself, but not to remain satisfied and stay.
After serving as missionary to the American Baptist Churches USA from 1998 to 1990, the Board of International Ministry, BIM, again commissioned Rev Aier as India's residential cross-cultural missionary.
Where there is no missionary except one lady teacher in the school, and then the leadership is very weak, and churches are not growing, and not only that, they are also fighting among them all the time. They are having some problem in the mission board, what to do with this, and reported to them. 3 months I was given. I came to Bengal, Bihar, Orissa with the leader from BIM. The assignment given by the BIM to go all possible places, mission centers, and then the program, and then the churches, and then meeting with the various committees, and also their only technical school, which is called Palasur Technical School in Palasur. Mission Board wanted me assess their ministry, their whole work, and report to them with my recommendation what to do in order to bring them back to life. 3 months, with the help of the executive committee, move around all the local churches of the 3 big states. Lots of program missionaries started, and lots of them going down and taken over by hook and crook, those one. Only problem is there. Schools were all closed mostly. Hospital were just one, Nikursini hospital was going down. It's seeing with my own eyes, meeting with these people. I give them the whole picture and then make my recommendation. And when I submitted that one, then they immediately decided that 2 of us to come back to India, but to Bengal Bihar as their missionaries.
His family was posted to Balasore town, Orissa, in eastern India, where they ministered in the American Baptist BIM mission fields of Bengal, Orissa, Bihar Baptist Church Association, known then as BOB-BCA. The erstwhile American Baptist Foreign Mission Society, which had established mission fields and infrastructure hundreds of years ago, were unfortunately declining and decaying. And at this opportune moment, Reverend Imotemjen successfully introduced certain reforms, set up and oversaw administration of property and organization, strengthened the local churches, and helped revive the old and prestigious Balasore Technical School, which now continues to serve the people of eastern India.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm very, very glad to be here today because we are doing it for His glory. I mean, we are very happy. Here in India, this program included in our so all over the world where the BIM has their convention. We are here as Jewish committed to Muslims also under the leadership of the Reverend Aier, Ramesh, and all of the dedicated the great things that you have done through this institution for the churches and for the community he served here to be an acceptable and honorable institution.
This mechanical section what we have seen over there and this automobile section were constructed together. So every new building has a contribution of Dr. Aier. Without his involvement, nothing has come up.
Somehow or other, I have a part in it, whatever is produced here, and because of the influence and then the information they also get from me, and then together we do the things. We are very happy.
These are the new machines. As per the latest technology, we have procured. First time in the Institute of Technical School, we are training girls on the automobile section. And Tata Motors, which is a renowned automobile company in India, they are supporting to train these girl students on that course. So these girls will be trained, placed in their Tata companies, dealers and companies.
They are dismantling the engine parts, practical about piston connecting rod, crankshaft, cylinder holes, piston connecting rod.
First, when I did, I found it very difficult, but now it has become useful for us.
just want to ask you, you are from which state? From which state?
West Bengal.
Okay.
West Bengal.
Okay.
Jharkhand.
Okay.
West Bengal.
West Bengal.
Odisha.
Odisha.
In Darjeeling, after class 12 pass, we just came here to have a knowledge about the Tata Motors and automobiles.
Thank you, sir.
The mysterious recovery of the decaying Balasore Technical School in the state of Orissa, under the leadership of engineer Ramesh Kamoor with Rev Aier's backing, was indeed like the unexpected healing miracle that happened to the ailing person of 38 years at Bethesda. Today, the Balasore Technical School is flourishing in the region states of Bengal, Orissa, Bihar of India.
मेरे पास जो खड़े हैं डॉक्टर के इमोटेमजन आयर, जो हमारा अंकल है और जो स्कूल आप देख रहे हैं, इन्हीं के वजह से ये सब कुछ बोलने से भी कुछ गलत नहीं होगा। आज जो कुछ हम लोग यहाँ बनाए, जो कुछ है स्कूल, सब प्रभु का दया और अंकल का आशीर्वाद से हुआ। इसलिए उनके लिए हम थोड़ा तालियों के साथ स्वागत करते हैं। I can do everything through Him who gives me strength. I first came here in 1990. So when I came with my wife, there was no good building like that. There was only one old building with old machinery. But this institution was very popular many years ago. Because when the American missionaries were here, they built up the workshop. They purchased the machinery and other things that they needed for the work. So after your graduation, when you go back to your respective villages, you will make very definite contribution to the development of your own tribe and religion. I believe you have talent and ability to do your work also and learn. 50 years ago, when I came here, there was nothing. But today we have something. And that is you. That is you here.
This is the American Baptist Mission Boys Hostel we constructed newly. Partial help from VIM, and we have constructed 20 rooms in memory of the past missionaries and donors. That was done during his period. He has dedicated the building, Reverend Dr. Imotemjen Aier. This is also the mechanical workshop during his period, and he dedicated the building. In his presence only he dedicated the building. Lloyd Eller was the one who started this institution in 1906. Was the first principal of this institution, and in his memory only we built the centenary building. And he raised the fund. When he went to America, US, they have talked to these people, and they have contributed a portion of the amount.
Yeah, in one of my deputations in the USA, we suddenly went to his home, and then of course they were the host, and then we talked about this new project, and they were anxious that this is done because this is here. In the past, while we were missionary there, they gave their priority. We were very gladly accepted to raise the fund, and they did it.
The mechanical workshop, they are doing the fitting job, mechanical fitting, punching, cutting.
There are 93 students already in mechanical trade fitter, second year. This is the second year students. Now practice is running. There are first year students also. 4 states generally, Odisha, West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand and Assam also.
This computer center was the first initiative by Dr. Aier. He raised fund before my coming here. In order to revive this institution, he was going around in the US and raising fund. So the entire grant was raised by him. So with that fund only we have started the computer section. And that first initiative to include girls in the program, in the courses. Prior to that there was no girls. This is the computer center for girls. We are training, this year we got 15 students on this course. These girls are under scholarship from various mission agency US, also from the First Baptist Church, Palo Alto, California. Also from International Christian Scholarship Foundation, they are helping. And another NGO in Bangalore, Indian Welfare, they are also helping the students to train them on free of cost. And another specialty of this building is this is the first concrete building after the cement is discovered. So 1950s it was constructed, this building was constructed, and during missionaries period, and it was inaugurated by the governor of Orissa at that time, so the Elizabeth Emerson grant. That was fully utilized for this section. When I came first here, we were not having not even a cycle for our emergency work. When 98, we got a cycle with sponsorship from somebody locally, and as the days have gone, 22 years, the Lord is so abundant to us, and His blessings are more upon the institution. We are having a big truck and a small truck, one Bolero, one Scorpio, one Honda City, another Accent, and Maruti Zen, Maruti and Commander, and we have 5 motorcycles used by the staff. So I have no words how to explain the blessings the Lord has provided to us. So the span of 22 years, every aspect, every angle of the institution is developed, not only in one particular area, in all aspects of the institution it is growing, and financially we are self-supported and self-reliant. This is the machine workshop. We are still using one machine which was purchased during the missionary period. It's almost 100 years old, and rest of the machines we procured after we started reviving. Dr. Aiyer's contribution is still there in the procuring the new machines. We have a carpentry section which is very old from the time of missionary we established. And most of the machines imported from the US still working condition.
This carpentry section, during missionary time, some of the furniture they built through the order of the central government in the New Delhi Parliament. They are still there.
This is the section on which we are raising fund for our sustainability. So most of the fund comes from carpentry section, and again this is the steel fabrication section. Since the wood usage is being restricted in India, so we are getting orders from government, railways and individuals. So as I said, these two sections, carpentry and the steel fabrication, are the income generating area for our institution, which given us the sustainability to run the institution. Out of these two sections, we are getting about 2 lakhs each month. Yeah, this is the Centennial Building inauguration by the collector, District Magistrate of Balasur on March 2003. And again, the first project, the building project, 7,000 square feet building. So again, he is the man behind the fundraising. So they are the people, when you came in 90, they were still working in the carpentry section and welding. And they are continuing almost now 30 years.
I'm so happy that you survived here at this institution. All those years. We left this place in 2000. At that time, working in the same place. Are the families with you?
Imo intentionally look for the best people they can find to restore the service of this school. So Imo was able to identify Mr. Ramesh Kumar, and then a group of senior leaders of the Baptist churches, and to reconstitute the whole operation. And now the Balasore Technical School under the leadership of Mr. Ramesh Kumar has flourished so much that not only have they restored what we call the past glory, so that young people can receive training to find a jobs. In fact, the school has done such a wonderful job that before even they graduate, they already have the employment. I think that is very significant, but also a great encouragement to families and ethnic low caste groups, who are so desperate to make a change of their life. The Balasore Technical School become a platform, a blessing to them when they are seeking for such a opportunity of change.
Actually, we came here to the field 1991. This building vacated by the earlier missionaries. My wife and myself had to live in Nikorsini Hospital, missionary bungalow earlier, and then this was by BIM for us to live here. While we were here, the whole bungalow we occupied.
In that room, Reverend Dr. Imotemjen Aier was staying when he was here.
That's how we lived, 10 years.
I wanted to acknowledge Reverend Imo Aier's contribution to our mission field because he has served, he has given his precious time to us. Because of his leadership only BOBBC was formed. I wanted to thank him for his sacrificial life for our mission field. May God bless him and may God be with him always. And please remember us in your prayer so that our mission field will be increased, because nowadays very problems and obstacles are coming, because in India now it is very difficult to give baptism. So please remember us in your prayer and remember our ministry in your prayer.
I am Reverend Alan Bundle, pastor of this church. This is Balasore Baptist Church. I have seen him many years ago when he was here. He was always there to help us, come take meetings and doing his work. I know him for many years. When I came here, this church was one of the strongest Baptist church, local church. And during my stay here from 1990, I met this church, my church, and I was attending it. And one thing that I did with the church is that they had just temporary the English worship fellowship in the church, not well organized one. But I discussed with him and then the other church leader to make it a church project, because there are so many non-speaking Odia are also coming to the church. From that time onward, they had that regular English service, a part of the ministry of the Balasore Baptist Church. That was a good testimony, and then program for the student coming for the PDS students from various different tribes, and mostly the local Santalis, and there are many of them non-Christian. And so they also come under the school supervision in the English service, always full. Because the Ramesh was having now every year more students, now also 400. All those 400 come because it is a school program, they have to come, whether you like them or not. But somehow or other that is one of the sources of evangelism, bringing them into the disciple. So the church is doing that continually every Sunday. And since this being the largest church here in Orissa, among the American Baptist Church, this was very important, and other big churches related with that. And the small villages in town, we respect and honor this church still today.
Imo and Rev Aier have played a very important role in the modern development of the work of international ministries in India. I think one of the most important things that Imo and Arenla have done is to encourage the young leaders and to develop disciples. And in fact, many of them become the leaders of the Baptist churches in Bengal, Orissa, Bihar. And Reverend Samaresh Nayak is one of them. And Samaresh is now the head of the IM-sponsored India Mission Coordination Committee, who is doing a wonderful job in networking Baptist churches, not only in Bengal Orissa, Bihar, but also in Northeast India and South India.
It is India that is our place, our country, but Bengal Orissa, Bihar, that also living, eating also different, and the living style also different. Everything little difficult, and then again language, they don't know much about English. So many things to do, lots of activities were there, but the most exciting for me that is sandalists, to work with the sandalists. These are the outcasts, so to say, outcast people, no? When we entered to the place and then find out the difficulties, and especially the children. So many difficulties are there, but for the school children, they have no school.
How are you? This is the first school made by the Sandal Mission. It was really the combination of the PM grant plus matching grant from PTS. The first school building was a tree where the blackboard was nailed on it and then began to teach is somewhere at that site. We asked for emergency grant from BIM. We also asked the PTS, technical school, to give the matching grant and then we built it here. Later on, we also added one more room because the students were coming more and more. Somehow I also left, and then because of the leadership, it kept changing and then neglected somehow. Except you're one of the founding member, right? Founding school, and I'm glad that he is here. Now the present CEO, BBC Eastern India, started and then revived their interest, and I'm sure it will grow well and it will attract more students.
We understood the class will become very dark.
As soon as possible, we'll finish.
আমাদের সান্তাল মিশন গালুকসাই সান্তাল মিশন স্কুলে
Gracious Lord, our Heavenly Father, for a long time we are anxious to see this school and also the children of this school. So Lord, we pray that you help us to find out, discover, take these children and other children who are waiting. Amen. Where are they?
Why are they meeting us? He has gone for meeting in Calcutta.
Sandal is there in the interior place only. Every day they have to go for Hajra, and then by that only they were supporting their lives like that only.
And Arenla also put in a lot of energy, especially working with the women's group, develop a lot of women's leaders who are playing a very active role in different positions. And also a significant contribution that I consider is that Arenla has encouraged our sisters, in Bengal Orissa, Bihar, not just serve under their husbands, but serve side by side with their husbands, because a couple is in fact a unit to serve God together.
During his time in the region of Bengal Orissa, Bihar, Reverend Imotemjen and his wife followed up and promoted other ministries too. Soul-winning camps were held with itinerant evangelism reaching the masses for Christ. From 1994 to 1999, 4 camps were held each year at different selected rural villages. Neighboring villages were invited for 5 days of intensive evangelism, closing on a Sunday with baptism for the converts. More than 143 villages, 4,371 families were covered, with 219 baptisms during the camp. Later, follow-up was done by respective local area pastors and evangelists. Leadership development. Since trained local leadership was extremely lacking and poor, higher theological scholarship was immediately established, and the first batch of 3 persons with bachelor's degrees were sent for BD degrees at the Union Biblical Seminary at Pune, Maharashtra. Others were sent to Carey Bible College, Kolkata for a Bachelor's of Theology. One woman candidate was Miss Dipti Ghose for Master's of Divinity and became the women's secretary. From then on, every year, young candidates were sent for higher theological studies. Leadership trainings were conducted on stewardship, young leadership, and pastors' and wives' retreats for local leaders. Various revival meetings were organized, like the BOBBC Workers' Revival Week, Balasore, 1996. The BOBBC, pastors, presidents, secretaries of the local churches under the leadership of Reverend Lanu Lachar, team from Nagaland, 1997.
Imo and Arenla were my mentors because I was new to the mission work in India, and Imo has already been the General Secretary of the Council of Baptist Churches in Northeast India for many years. I had such golden opportunity to learn directly and personally with Imo and Arenla.
In 1999, the new group, BOBBC-A, wanted us to stay. There were 60 churches represented. They said, okay, we still need your service, so you stay for 3 years. But since the request was so strong and then serious, my wife and I decided to say, okay, we'll stay one more year, which means 2,000. And don't give us money. It will be free as a part of a contribution without salary. So I was consultant of this new convention.
Another milestone breakthrough is how Imo and Arenla basically restore the vitality of the Baptist churches in Bengal, Orissa, Bihar, Baptist Church Council of Eastern India.
After his service in these 3 Indian states, and as Reverend Aier was about to go for retirement, the erstwhile Baptist International Ministries BIM, presently International Ministries IM, appreciating his sincerity, honesty, and hard work, requested him to be the power of attorney for BIM Properties of India.
Imo has done a wonderful job, and we have achieved a lot in this very challenging issue, and we are in debt to you for your contributions.
According to Reverend Aier, this assignment was the biggest challenge in his life because he had to protect and preserve all movable and immovable assets of the BIM against all odds, including intimidation, wrong and willful accusations, insults, and even court litigations. But with prayers and strong faith in God, he was successful in the protection of properties worth hundreds of thousands of dollars for BIM. After serving in ministry for his whole life, Reverend Imotemjen retired from the BIM power of attorney in 2018.
After my retirement, I would now again appeal that you have not lost anything by sending your money and your people, your men, your relatives, your parents, your grandparents to Northeast India particularly and around the world to present the gospel of life to the people living in darkness. Today still there are many who are searching for their life, the best way to live. And it is time again with all these possibilities of communicating to reach the unreached. Just one time covered doesn't work. We have to repeat until losing soul to be brought to the feet of Jesus Christ. Take this gospel to the people who harden their heart, even not to accept the good news, though they know that there is something good and the good news is there. Yet they are very often covered with the evils of this world. It is again time for us with all these facilities to reach people sincerely, to reach the unreached.
During his service with CBC-NEI, Reverend Aier was involved in various ecumenical and denominational Christian organizations within and outside India. He also represented and served in the following Christian organizations: as Vice President of the Northeast India Christian Council from 1970 to 1987, President of the Baptist Union of India from 1976 to 1986, National Council of Churches in India from 1975 to 1987, the Asian Baptist Federation from 1975 to 1985, and Vice President and Vice Chairman of the Baptist Council on World Missions from 1973 to 1990. Through it all, Reverend Imotemjen and his ever-present wife, Arenla, worked together for 50-plus years, commissioned together as partners in missions and ministry, blessed with 3 successful children. Their eldest daughter is a doctor with the government of Nagaland. One son is an engineer and principal system analyst, and the youngest is a businessman based in California, USA.
Arenla is amazing in hospitality. I enjoy so much visiting them, both when they served in Balaso area, in the mission compound, and also later on in their home in Dimapur, in Nagaland. I was very well cared for. And I should say, there are a lot of guests going to the house, and including our officers of international ministries or international guests, and they have the same experience.
We are not forgetting that because we are the beneficiaries of the gospel brought by the American the missionaries in various ways, opening the eyes of the blind to see many things which were unseen, and thereby develop not only their physical life but also their spiritual life, bringing them to the feet of Jesus Christ and assure them the salvation forever, the life eternal. And so for that we are really very grateful and then thankful to those people who came to us in person with risk of their life, and also those who are at home sending them, giving their sacrificial offering to make the mission successful.